Hello, fellow mech warriors, Mage Leader here. Welcome back to the Battlemech Primer, the series where I condense an hour's worth of content into 10 minutes instead of the other way around. Timing is harder than it looks, okay? Today is yet another day for discussing a tried and true classic, a machine that needs no introduction. You all know what it is, it's unmistakable. There's nothing else that looks quite like it. In this video, we're going to take a brief look at the Hunchback. Far more than just an advertisement for chiropractics, the Hunchback is a medium mech, a class of machines designed to gracefully perch in the middle of the infamous triangle. Designing a medium battlemech is a high-wire act of managing mobility, protection, and firepower in the most efficient way possible. This approach gave us well-balanced machines like the Wolverine, Centurion, Griffin, Vindicator, Phoenix Hawk, and Crab. It also gave us this fucking thing. At some point, somebody took a look at the established way of doing things, the best way to make a versatile battlemech, and threw it out the window in favor of Big Gun Go Boom. I'm kidding, of course. The Hunchback is a far older design, and therefore has the excuse of nobody knowing what they were doing yet. The first Hunchback rolled off the assembly line in 2572, a time of great change in the Inner Sphere. The Star League had just been established 2 years prior, and Ian Cameron had, depending on who you ask, either placed himself or been placed in the big boy seat. 2572 was the year in which he had enacted Executive Order 4, which required all Star League member states to use the same state-approved curriculum in their schools, because Common Core worked so damn well the last time. Things were rapidly evolving, and the changes weren't just limited to systems of government and education. In times like these, the need for newer, grander weaponry is often a primary driving force behind the economy. The Maquis had shaken military technology and the balance of power in the Inner Sphere to its core a century prior, and with the advent of the Star League, nobody wanted to get caught with their trousers down when the next big breakthrough came about. As such, it was a time of experimentation, pushing the envelope. The Battlemech was old news at this point, a proven concept that had lasted 100 years. The imitators and successors to the Maquis had all been in service for decades, and it was time to start shaking up the status quo. It was this experimental approach to mech design that would give us more specialized battlemechs, and some of the things that came out of this era were certainly interesting, to say the least. And it was this attitude toward the design process that would eventually lead Komiyana Nissan to wonder what would happen if big gun on little guy. The result was a Hunchback 4G, a 50-ton battlemech with a small laser, 2 medium lasers, and a motherfucking AC-20. That's right, the idea of sticking the biggest autocannon available in places it doesn't belong predates the urban mech by half a century. The Hunchback was an urban defense platform intended to operate in close quarters. It had a max speed of 64 kph, which wasn't ideal for strutting across wide open fields, and its armor wasn't particularly impressive. However, this is a battlemech that you really wouldn't want to meet in a dark alley. The AC-20 is a serious piece of hardware, a borderline artillery piece that can flatten just about anything with a well-placed shot. It has the lasers as well, but it's not uncommon for the pilots to forget that they even have them, because who needs lasers when you've got a gun the size of Connecticut on your shoulder? Seriously, this thing does almost as much damage as the media thinks an AR-15 does.
Take a look at this video used to shoot a watermelon using an AR-15.
I wonder if I could use the AC-20 for deer hunting. Anyway, the Hunchback was a hit when it rolled onto the scene, and Nissan, despite having the most kawaii desu sugoi dekai name of all time. Who wrote this? Despite this fact, they did not sell the design exclusively to the Space Weeps. They sold it to everyone. Within a decade, this thing was popping up everywhere, and in dozens of configurations. The massive cancerous growth on the right shoulder, as it turns out, is the perfect place to stuff all sorts of weaponry. There are Hunchbacks with different big guns, overlapping missile racks, PPCs, and lasers. Like, a lot of just an unreasonable number of lasers. No matter what the crazy people of the Inner Sphere decide to strap on it, however, the core principle remains the same. It's a mech that delivers a punch that hits well above its weight. Having one of these things in your rear arc brings with it a pucker factor only rivaled by that time my uncle... Never mind. Nissan would produce the design throughout the American Civil War, but they would be bombed into absolute oblivion during the First Succession War. and so they went quietly into the night, Battlemech's shitty cars and all. But the Hunchback stuck around. Kaliyama would eventually buy the design and bring it back to life again, and various other official and unofficial producers would pump these things out across the sphere and the periphery. Coventry, Northstorm, and even a goddamn tractor company have taken to building these things. That's not hyperbole either. Colonial Tractors does in fact produce Hunchbacks for the Franc reaches. Used to build them on a planet called Detroit even, until the Canopians ruined it, that is. Damn space sluts. All of this has kept the Hunchback relevant well beyond its initial shelf life. Because no matter how good your fancy pants clan death machine is, you don't want to stick around when this thing comes lumbering around the corner, especially when you consider that it comes at a modest price and it's not uncommon for it to be working in a pack. If you should manage to find yourself a Hunchback, which you probably will, my advice is to use it to support a lance. Have the bigger, tougher things draw attention, and quietly slip this thing into the back when your opponent is distracted.
That's what she said!
It's an ambush predator through and through, but it does the job better than just about anyone else. And don't lie, one of them has probably ruined a pair of your undies at one point or another. So that's the Hunchback. It's a long-lived, battle-tested design with a niche application. It's ugly, brutish, and simple, about as straightforward as a fighting machine can get. It shows up, deletes whatever problem it's currently having, then slips away before anyone can make it engage completely. It fights dirty, the king of the sucker punch. But there's no denying that when it's time to throw down in the city, it's a mech that you want to have in your corner. Thank you all so much for watching, and special thanks to my $5 patrons: Arcos Raid, Spacer, Chef Sung, Delta 505, Robert H., Rivius, Kyle Vidari, Tim Cook, Tomayaga Tudor, Gary Moses Sweeney, and Admiral Chirino. If you would like to show the squadron some love, then consider subscribing, hitting the thumbs up, or leaving a comment down below. Your support is what keeps me coming back, and so thank you once again. And until next time, this is Mage Leader, signing off.